Beijing and Manila are trading barbs over the South China Sea once again. China's Coast Guard says a Philippine ship had ignored its repeated warnings and, quote, deliberately collided with its vessels near the disputed Sabina Shoal. Manila has denied that accusation. It says Beijing is imposing its version of events.
This was the aftermath of two Philippine Coast Guard vessels on a resupply mission en route to the disputed reefs. Manila says one of the Chinese vessels rammed into the BRP Cape Engaño, leaving a hole on the deck nearly 15 centimeters wide, before hitting the other vessel twice. The Philippines task force, describing the structural damage incurred as among the biggest so far, says it will not be swayed from its national duty.
Despite these incidents, both Philippine Coast Guard vessels remain committed to and shall proceed with their mission of delivering essential supplies to personnel stationed on Patag and Lawak Islands. The Philippine Coast Guard stands firm in its responsibility to ensure the safety and security of our maritime domain while addressing any and all threats to our national interest.
In a separate account, Chinese media reported that the Philippine ship caused the crash by changing direction unexpectedly. The Sabina Shoal forms part of the Spratly Islands in the South China Sea. It's located within the exclusive economic zone set by Manila and claimed by Beijing.
追方此举严重侵犯中国主权，严重违反南海各方行为宣言的规定，严重危害南海和平稳定。中方对此坚决反对，将继续依法采取坚决有力措施，维护自身的领土主权和海洋权益，维护南海各方行为宣言的严肃性。
The escalating skirmishes follow a long series of standoffs between both sides. It also comes less than 2 weeks after Manila accused two Chinese Air Force jets of harassing a Philippine military plane patrolling over the Scarborough Shoal. Beijing has come under the international radar over its aggression in the South China Sea in recent months. But Manila's resupply missions also raising questions about alleged Philippine provocation. The latest incident, another indication of the intransigence of both sides.
CNA's Buena Bernal and Tan Si-hui with more on how both sides are treating this latest clash and how they're likely to deal with the seemingly intensifying row.
Provisional understanding between the Philippines and China is in relation to the Philippines' rotation and resupply missions to Second Thomas Shoal. And that's because of the June 17 incident, an unprecedented level of violence that saw an elite Filipino Navy personnel losing his thumb in a brawl with Chinese authorities. So that provisional understanding is limited to that maritime feature. And now we're talking about Sabina Shoal, but in general, what this really equates to is the Philippines strengthening its maritime domain awareness, because the Philippines' weakness in that area in the past has caused disadvantages, including when China was able to reclaim and build military installations in Mischief Reef, another maritime feature within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone back in the 90s under the guise of building fishermen's shelter. And that is why now there's increased monitoring coming from the side of the Philippines. Philippines' former Associate Justice Antonio Carpio also urged government officials to file a new arbitration case against China, this time in terms of the extended continental shelf of the Philippines, which it had a submission to the United Nations recently. And Philippine government officials also urged the public to support its transparency initiative, which has put a spotlight on Chinese maritime aggression in the South China Sea.
Beijing is unlikely to back down because China's Coast Guard have already said that they will continue enforcement activities in accordance with the law. And some of the reports that have come out previously from China, for example, Communist Party-linked media Global Times, they have said that with regards to the upgraded communication line in June, such a mechanism will depend largely on the Philippines' sincerity in settling the dispute. So we can expect that Beijing is waiting for the Manila side to show political will to resolve the conflict. And reports also say that existing mechanisms are already sufficient. So two sides had also earlier reached a provisional deal this month, but details are scant. It remains unclear at the moment. So from what we see, cooperation from both sides remains at a stalemate.